Daddy, you have no pride at all. There was a scream from a young girl named Minji, watching her own father kneeling in front of her parents. At the same time, her classmate Yuri's mother. Yuri's classmate's mother, Yuri, continued to loudly protest and demand that the girl who hit her daughter get what she deserved. At this time, the teacher also whispered that Yuri's father is a well-known and influential person who needs to keep his position in politics and is also the director of a construction company. John Construction Minji's father clenched his fists painfully and continued to listen to this, and then bowed his head. I'm sorry. I'm raising Minji alone. She lacks a mother, and that's why she's so hot-tempered. Please forgive me for raising her this way. I'm really sorry. After a while, he and his daughter were walking down the street in complete silence. The man tried to interrupt this awkward silence, offering to go somewhere for a snack, to which she refused. And after just a second, the girl began to accuse her father of being weak-willed. What is this nonsense? Who is he anyway? Others are politicians, and presidents, and know how to get around in this life. But her father is just a manager. The girl, through tears, asked why she was born like everyone else in this miserable Korea. If he knew all this, then why did he let her be born if he had no ability and money? Then she should not have been born at all. The man wanted to say something, but the daughter did not let him interrupt her and told him not to follow her. She will stay at her friend's house for a while, and if her father looks for her, then the girl will be very angry. Minji went away from her father, who could not answer her, and remained standing in the middle of the street all alone. In the evening of the same day, a shabby Minji called out to Yuri with a bunch of guys in a back alley, then started slapping her with a ringing slap while insulting her. Minji didn't just stand there peacefully. She grabbed the bitch by the hair and fought back. The fight was interrupted by a bastard who kicked the poor girl. The bastard's name was Minho's boyfriend Yuri. Did the bitch think that if she was a woman, Minho wouldn't hit her? Minji asked in response. These assholes gathered in a crowd to catch her alone, that they were so insecure. The girl's words pissed off the fat guy, who immediately grabbed her by the hair. What did you yell? And started to beat the poor girl. Even his suckers watched the beating with horror. One of them turned away to avoid seeing it. Before they could do anything, a blonde girl jumped out from behind them. She grabbed a big rock and smashed it with all her might on her head. Then Minji fell with the back of her head right on the big boulder. The sight of it scared the bastard. Blood sprinkled on the ground, and his face got even more covered. Then, when the freak heard that one of his friends was going to call the police, the bastard immediately shut the mouth of the fool who wanted to do it and told her not to move. And if he gets caught, it won't be hard for him to prove that they were involved in the attack because of these threats. No one present dared to make any calls, but Minho wanted to contact the head of the company. However, he was immediately rejected without even speaking. Yuri snatched his phone and claimed to be the daughter of Jung Kang-jong, the director of Ju-young Construction, and then demanded that she get someone to cover her tracks. At this time, Minji's father cooked and continued to wait for his daughter alone. Looking at his watch, he noted that it was getting quite late at the same time. Yuri and Ambul were already in the car, surrounded by some thugs. Apparently, the main one of them noticed that they usually don't deal with such situations, but they only help her because she is the daughter of the director. The blonde tensed up and asked if they would be able to deal with her problem. The gold tooth replied that she had nothing to worry about. Their friends from Japan have a special remedy suitable for this kind of problem. What's it called? Boss compression device. I heard that if you put a man in this machine, he will be reduced to the size of a fist. When Yuri heard this, she was scared, but she didn't say anything. By this time they arrived at the right place and opened the trunk where Minji was lying motionless. The gold-toothy man told the blonde not to worry about the money because he will ask the president for it. While they were discussing the amount, Minji's hand moved slightly. Her father was dozing off. He continued to wait for his daughter and didn't touch his dinner. It was past midnight, and dinner was getting cold. At dawn, the man went to work, and on his way, he noticed the crowd that was having a lively discussion. There was probably a scuffle, as there was a lot of blood around. Minji's father noticed a rubber band on the ground that Yuri was tying to her hair. He called his daughter's friend and asked her if Minji was at her place yesterday. After receiving a negative answer, the man closed his phone, and the atmosphere around him immediately changed. After a while, Yuri and Minho were walking down the alley. The bulky man was calming his girlfriend. He noted that Minji's father seems to be missing too. So, no one will find anything if they just keep quiet. But his words somehow did not calm the blonde behind their backs. Minji's father appeared out of thin air and wanted to know if they knew where his daughter had disappeared to. The terrified big man grabbed him by the shirt and was about to hit him, but he looked at the pale fervor and then said that they don't know Minji. Isn't that yours? I found her on the street corner. The man ignored the bully and showed Yuri her rubber band. The big man wouldn't stand for it and was about to smear the annoying man. Let me go. Stop. I understand what you said, but the more you try, the more tense the situation becomes. Young Kim held an old man in uniform at gunpoint while holding a knife to his throat, and there were many breathless bodies around. If you really understand, let me go. Write me out. The captured old man asked Kim Jones to calm down. You said you only spent one night with that woman. Then how do you know it's your child? The commander also asked the sergeant to calm down. But then, there was a loud gunshot. The old man pissed his Schminho. Write him off already. He's completely out of his mind. He's crazy. He's gonna kill us all. Seeing that his threats weren't working, decided to try to intimidate the man with his appearance, and took off his shirt while continuing to insult him. The little bully got even angrier than before, and tore the man's shirt into shreds in just one move. It was only when Minho and Yuri saw what was underneath that they were speechless. We can't. You know we can't just let him go. We can't let anyone know we're here. In front of Minho's face stood a pumped-up man whose body was covered in a huge number of scars, from bullet and knife wounds. His squad had taken over the north. 17 times they'd sent double agents south 5 times, and had made only 2 prison breaks. Also the first greatest assassination attempt in North Korea. And in China and Russia, there's even a group that worships him. Kim Jong-suk jumped out of his seat and threw a bunch of punches in one fell swoop. Then did a lightning-fast trip and kneed the big guy to the ground. Let me ask you where Minji is. A few seconds later, Kim was choking the big guy with a Yuri rubber band. The blonde begged him to stop, but apparently she was too nervous and lost consciousness. At that time, Minji's father asked Minho where those who took his daughter had gone. The Ambo gasped and sobbed and claimed he didn't know. Then, the man didn't loosen his grip for a second and asked how to contact them. The degenerate frantically explained that the leader of his group contacts these people, and where is this scumbag? Already in the evening, an unknown and badly beaten man begged for forgiveness. Oh, Minchol. The gang leader grabbed him by the hair and told him that he had signed a damn contract in which it was written in black and white. If you don't pay back the amount in time, your daughter will have to pay back the debt in your place. A girl held by 2 guys asked her father to help her. When he wanted to say something to the creditor, he got hit in the face. The gangster started beating him with his palms. What will happen to his daughter is only a matter of time. So what difference does it make? And let him pay back the debt if he loves her? He doesn't want to do that either. The degenerate hit the grief-stricken father with his foot. As for this pretty girl, let the debtor watch carefully. She was crying and begging her father to help her, but he just looked away helplessly. The Mincho grabbed his head and turned it towards his daughter. That's what it means to borrow and sign a contract. Man could not look at her suffering, and just closed his eyes. At that moment, near their house, stood a familiar silhouette. The gang leader was distracted by his subordinate who said that someone had come in. He didn't look like the delivery guy who brought his noodles. Mincho said that if it wasn't the food delivery guy, then let the guy tell him to go fuck himself. And just in case, she locked herself in when she heard a bang. He was definitely locking the door. The subordinate immediately ran out to the unknown intruder and said it was trespassing. The next second, there was a loud bang, which attracted the attention of everyone in the house. The head of the gang asked, "What was that?" As immediately, there was another loud bang on the closed door. The biggest man in the room, on the orders of his boss, grabbed a steel bat that was near the door and swung it. The girl warned the potential savior by shouting that the blow would come from below. But unexpectedly, the big guy hit his own ally, who was Kim, who was a friend of the gang. He immediately started pulling a rope out of his jacket breast pocket with one hand, and with the other hand, he struck the bastard's face. With one deft move, Kim wrapped the bastard's legs and yanked and threw the middle of the rope on the chandelier. The bastard flew to the ceiling like a flake. "Who the hell are you where Minji is?" The bastard didn't know who he was talking about, but that wasn't what Kim wanted to hear. So he pulled the cable tighter, squeezing the guy's legs even tighter, causing him tremendous pain. The Ambal asked his boss for help, and Mincho tried to escape through the window. And as soon as he realized he'd been burned, he jumped out of the window, almost falling into his father's arms, and rushed out the door. He was frantically trying to figure out who it was and what he should do now, because he was panicking and didn't notice he'd caught the rope and fell to the ground, breaking his nose. What the fuck was that all about? Who put the rope there? A few seconds later, in the setting sunlight, he saw that there was a rope strung all along the street. As soon as the Mincho realized it was a trap, Kim appeared behind him and put the rope around his neck. "I don't know. Believe me, I really don't know, you fucking psycho. I really don't know. We only chat on WhatsApp when absolutely necessary." The man with a calm face took the bag off his head, and he instantly spit out his knocked-out teeth. The man immediately explained to Boomer how closed chats work in WhatsApp, and that they are immediately deleted after a while. Kim asked how he got in touch with them. That time, Mincho remembered. When he asked his boss if he could call him, and told him about the director of John Construction, too. He immediately agreed to come. When he heard this answer, the man instantly broke the guy's arm. He howled in pain and started screaming from behind the squealing of the pig the father and daughter were watching, and they didn't even know whether to thank the savior or be afraid of him. Suddenly, Mincho yelled that such torture was illegal, and he would sue, and what you are doing is legal. The next second, there was a loud crunch, and then the room was filled with the screaming of the bastard whose arm was broken. Kim went around him and asked who would save him. The kid was screaming that the law would help him. They're all minors, and even if they break the law, he's still on their side. Doesn't he know about the rights of minors? The bastard was interrupted by a powerful kick in the face while he was writhing in pain. Kim opened his briefcase and threw out the papers. Inside the briefcase was a pistol with ammunition and a silencer. Did you know a child who lost a parent is called an orphan? A wife who lost her husband is called a widow. But for a parent who's lost a child, there's no name for it. It's eating me up inside and it feels like I have nothing left to lose. Mincho realized he'd got the wrong guy, but it was too late to turn around. All this Kim was saying while pointing a gun at the bastard's balls. The bastard was losing his mind from fear. It was a real gun. He had a lot of thoughts going through his head, and then a gunshot rang out and everyone in the room was speechless. Blood spilled out onto the floor, and the silence was instantly broken by the screams of a guy. He roared in pain and begged for an ambulance. Gathering papers, Kim explained that he only left the bastard alive because he believed Minji was alive. Otherwise, he would have killed everyone here, including his loved ones. This bastard is a child advocate. Don't be silly. My fist is closer to the law, and the night is longer than the day. I won't stand by. If you even touch my daughter, you lay a finger on my daughter. Kim reached for the phone of the guy who was already unconscious from the pain. At that moment, the cell phone began to literally burst with a huge number of messages. Mincho girl who had a fight with the director's daughter. We put her on the ship, now she's definitely dead. The man's hands slowly began to droop as tears ran down his cheeks and the case fell to the floor. But he quickly wiped his eyes and started typing something on his phone. At that moment, the message came on the cell phone of a subordinate, gold-toothed bandit who asked what was going on. And yes, nothing like that. Just Shave did everything as he was ordered and told the suckers that the girl is already on the ship at that moment. On the phone rang in the voice chat. Shaved was surprised by this, because usually about such a call warned in advance. He was about to answer. But the boss stopped him because it is probably the police need to just delete the chat and no more contact with this team. And just in case it is necessary to throw away the phone in front of Kim's eyes, appeared a notification that this chat no longer exists.